FPS Russia is doing his American accent here for us.
Yes, yes, I have perfected it through my many years here. I've got the American accent down. It's mastered. So I'm gonna move forward with it now. I think I'm gonna be able to get a green card the whole nine.
To be honest, Kyle, I would have expected you to tell me sooner. I've known you for a number of years, and
I had to keep you in the dark, Taylor. You couldn't be trusted with this need-to-know kind of information. It was just Woody, who was the worst secret keeper of all time, and my mother. They're the only people who knew.
Do you remember I told someone like 4 years
He's
ago?
terrible at it. He did it multiple times. You'd let the cat right out of the bag. Like you were.
I remember.
And I knew you didn't do it on purpose, so I was like, well, you didn't mean to.
One time in particular, there was this guy, he wrote me, he was really sincere. He had laid out like 7 pieces of evidence, right? So it was clear he knew, right? Like there was no bullshitting this guy. And it was, he sent me a YouTube message and I wrote back, I'm like, yeah, it's him. It's all cool though. It's a really great channel. I think it's great. Or whatever I wrote. And then he took my message and like screenshotted it, and, like uploaded it. Like I don't know if it was Twitter or like where it
Real
got all this traction.
cocksucker. I hate that guy. I hate all those guys. The ones that are like, aha! Let me show everyone that this guy's trying to entertain them for free. That cocksucker.
Yes,
that's what it always is.
And after Kyle made a video. Do you remember? It was
Yeah.
You played on Vacant.
Yeah, I remember. It was a good score.
And you played the Chameleon Air song, which I still have on my iPod because of that video.
It's a really good song.
And you were like, "How you doing?" "I'm not doing that well. Had kind of a bad day." And me watching that video, being completely responsible for your bad day, felt terrible. And I know you said I gave in my head. After that, I was really diligent about the Kyle's associate. I fuck up sometimes. Like I remember, I showed a picture of like the best day ever when like you, Joe, and I went to the tallest.
I'm great at keeping secrets, except for that one time I showed her that picture of you. That was that time, and then
there was the time I told the guy he was right and sent him a message from my main account.
But now that it's out, I'm excited. Like, there's a dozen things I'd love to talk about. And I don't even know if you want to talk about them, so you'll have to guide me on this sort of thing. But, like,
yeah.
Well, okay, fuck.
Some of the cool stuff I've done, like, we could talk about that stuff for sure. And, like, the inner workings of the stuff I do, we could talk about that some.
Do you remember when the door blew off and almost hit somebody?
The car door?
Yeah.
Let's get a nice big explosion, maybe a little shrapnel going. Maybe a lot of shrapnel.
Yeah, it almost hit me.
So there was a cameraman behind you. Did it almost hit him or her?
It seemed to, it's kind of hard to explain, but it seemed to like come at me and then start curving that way, and it sort of curved around us. It didn't hit him. I mean, it was probably moving close to the speed of sound. Like, I just saw it coming at me like a blur, and you could tell in the video my reaction time was way too slow to actually dodge it. By the time I turned around, and I turned around, I'm like, woo! It's already past me, and it's already, like, landed way back behind me. But
there was a big thing on Reddit that said it was fake, that it was CGI, and they could prove it because you didn't even react to it.
It's because I couldn't react fast enough to something moving that fucking fast. No, it's not fake. I mean, it's just not. I've got the original footage that's from a side camera angle, and you can hear the guy who's running the slow-mo. He's like, "Holy fucking shit!" He's terrified by the whole thing. You can see in super slow-mo. You can see from 2 angles and one of them in like ultra high speed, like I don't know, 3,000 frames per second. You can see it come off. Trust me, I wish it was CGI. It didn't hurt anybody. Didn't hit anybody.
If you open the doors that the camera didn't see, like on the far side, even just cracked them, it would probably prevent that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, the reason it did that is because the tannerite wasn't placed properly, and there was like 4 extra pounds of tannerite than there normally was. It just that's all it was. The reason that whole thing happened is because the car didn't have a rear view mirror. which is where we would usually hang them. So we had to hang them from like the oh shit handle, like over here if you're in the passenger side. So if you can imagine dangling from that, it's sitting right on the other side of the door. So that door received a ton of energy and came back at us.
You put 4 pounds of extra?
Yeah, there was 4 pounds of extra in there. It fit. What can I say?
Yeah. You'd be surprised how much tannerite fits in a car.
Yeah,
Just
you
put
put
4 pounds of explosive extra.
Well, there was already like I say 4, like the total mix wasn't 5 or 6. It was already like 15 in there. We went from like 15 to 19 or something like that when normally we wouldn't. And it just blew the door off. Normally, that hadn't happened before, where like a big piece of something had come right back at us.
One thing didn't a refrigerator hit your cameraman? A piece of the refrigerator. I'm not.
Yeah, a little piece of the refrigerator hit him in the leg and cut him a little bit. We had to take him. I think it was like 3 stitches, 3 or 4.
Let's blow some shit up.
That was a funny day.
Was that Scott who was hit? Your cousin?
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Day.
It was funny. Everybody's a pussy about that, especially him. Like I was just like, come on.
Was it bleeding a lot? Like when it first happened? Like did it look like it was bad?
Well, I looked at it and you could tell it's deep. It was like this long, and it was like on his leg, like down here, like on his shin. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I told him, I was like, we gotta finish this video, like I can't just leave and take you to the ER. Like we gotta wrap things here. He's like, come on, dude, we gotta go. And I'm just like, no, we need a minute here. So I gave the camera to Jeremy, who was standing by, and we like wrapped the video up. Like, okay, so my cameraman's dying, so we're gonna head over to the ER, and so yeah, we just took him to the ER. We wrapped him up with a T-shirt and some duct tape, and he was good. Wasn't a big deal.
I remember telling you, like back in the day, if you go back 3 years or so, I was like, you should get another cameraman. I think I was pitching high speed and stuff like that, and you're like, no, I'm really loyal to Scott. Apparently, Scott's superpower is not flinching to explosives. Like that was his thing. You're like, you could blow up anything. Scott won't flinch. Like, all right.
Well, it's a good trait for a cameraman.
He was pretty good at that. He always was. He didn't flinch, and a lot of people do flinch when stuff goes off or when stuff comes at you. I know there's been people that like stuff had come after them before, and they like got really scared and flinched. There was a cameraman that was hired out of Atlanta for a thing we did for G4 TV one time, and like a propane bottle came whizzing at him, and he freaked out and ran away. And I was like, "Come on, man!" Like you in the video, I'm like, "Come on, man, stop being a bitch. Let's keep going." And they're usually afraid of that stuff. The thing about it is, it's meant to look dangerous, but not necessarily be dangerous. Most of the stuff that comes back at us.
Propane tanks dangerous? I think they might.
That was what you were doing, not wildly irresponsible and dangerous.
I don't see any of it as that irresponsible or dangerous.
No, it's not irresponsible.
We're mostly out of like the danger zone. It would be dangerous to stand next to a lot of the stuff we're shooting, but I mean that's true whether it explodes or not.
That tends to be true with shooting anything.